Good afternoon, and welcome to another letter from the light side. I've been thinking about this letter this week and asking my guides and inspirers and all of the lovely energy beings to give us some help and some support. It's been a very difficult week, and especially yesterday with another senseless to some and purposeful attack to others, which really I think has the possibility of driving us to despair, I suppose, or driving us into fear. And one of the things that is very important is to try to make sure that we don't respond and give out energy that is not helpful. So I have my lovely yellow scarf on because the solar plexus is what connects us into the world of energy and into the energy beings. I've been sending out a lot of healing energy. It has been a challenging week anyway, because we are gradually, through the energy that's being beamed into us, going through the emotions associated with grieving. And this week has been all about depression and despair. You might have found yourself under a heavy blanket, feeling like you can't connect with your higher self, feeling like there's so much going on the real world, what we consider the real world, that having help and guidance seems like something that's just not possible or just not available to you. So it has been about loving yourself enough to take the rest that's needed, to release the emotions as necessary, and to engage in your life as best you can. It hasn't been an engaging fully, but it is about doing your best, putting one foot in front of another and doing the job that's in front of you. So I asked them last night, because I knew that I was going to be doing this broadcast, what is it? What do we do when we're faced with the challenge of others trying to generate fear, trying to generate a disheartened or an angry feeling? How do we overcome that natural want to hit back, if you like, when we feel vulnerable and at our most frightened? It can be a natural response to want to kind of punch back, to want to hurt, to want to shout, to want to respond with "they're all bad," and to find it hard to reach a place of forgiveness or even a place of love. The first thing that they've brought me last night and again today has been about my energy. This is a test of your energy. This is how you respond to the fear and hatred others generate, because that's definitely what the aim is, to make everyone live in the same kind of fearful place that these individuals live in. Make no doubt, they live in fear. They live in fear of being judged. They live in fear of some ultimate being who is harsh and hate-filled. They live in fear that anything that isn't exactly as they're told to do it is a reason to be punished. They live in fear that there's no afterlife for them unless they do these horrible things. But that the reward will be to live in a lack of love and to embrace that fear and hatred, that somehow they'll go to a place of ultimate love where everything will be made right. It's a rather childish position, a rather short-sighted position, and one that the energy beings really would like us to reflect upon, to think about, because just as they live in a position of fear and hatred, sometimes so does every one of us. We live in that place when we put someone as other, when we're not prepared to take responsibility for the energy that we create within us, when we're not brave enough to say, I feel vulnerable, but I'm going to live through it. When we acknowledge that our biggest fear is the fear of death, without perhaps trying to establish that we don't need to feel that there is an afterlife for all of us, that there is something more. Now, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with the energy beings. You don't have to believe in the angels or the elementals or the dragons or the aliens. You don't have to believe in the god or goddess. It doesn't matter. What is important is that you start to understand that your inner being creates your outer world. I have with me today some Ascended Masters, because I asked for the highest and brightest to please come in and help me with the words, with what was needed and respectful to say today. And they want to remind us that it starts within us. If I am fearful and hateful, that is what I give to others. That's my gift to them. It's no surprise that that bounces back to me as their fear and hatred. Until we start to break down the walls between us, until we start to recognise what the Dalai Lama was so keen to say when I saw him in Manchester, that we are all human under the skin. Until we start to live that in reality, then there will always be people who are prepared to say, I hate you, I fear you, and therefore it's okay for me to persecute and oppress you. I have this book that tells me I can do it, or I have this person who tells me I can do it. I have my head that tells me I can do it. That's what we have to learn. And part of learning is to be exposed full on to the energy, which is what we were last week. We felt the global depression, we felt the global fear. Not just those of us who are sensitive and tune in, but all of us in some subtle, uncomfortable way struggled because we didn't love ourselves and we didn't transmit out love as fully as we can. Some more words that they gave me were, make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring you love. It's so difficult. I know it's so difficult to take those words and to use them wisely. But the week that's coming up is going back to reminding you about the love you must find and feel for yourself. Because if you love yourself, nothing anyone else does can make hatred happen. If you understand that you can rise through all of the fear and hatred and get to a place of loving kindness, compassion and forgiveness, then you can overcome the waves of energy. It's very clear that we have a job to do on this planet. We're here to hold it steady. Not really for me. I don't have enough years left. My life will end. But we must hold it steady for our children's 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 children. Every generation needs to come into a happier, lighter, more loving existence. And we can only get to that point when we are really, one by one, ready to say, this isn't happening in my name. This isn't happening in the name of any divine being. This is human beings who have forgotten how to love themselves, who have been twisted in their understanding of what love represents, and who see others as hate objects, because that's what it is, hate objects. They don't see people as human beings. We must keep reminding them that they are human beings. We have to keep sharing that when you harm one, you harm yourself as well. Hate and fear hardens you. It stops you having that compassion and love for others that is so vital to change this world. And I know that it seems like a long, long, distant hope. But unless we hold the love and the vision, unless we manifest the love and the vision, it can't happen. So the Ascended Masters are working with all of us. Those who are awake and aware, those who aren't. There is a huge shift. So recognise this week coming that the energies that are around will make you feel vulnerable, will make you wonder what it is to be a human being. Not just on the world stage, but in your local life and the life in our countries. It's about knowing that we can feel fear, we can feel anxiety, we can worry about where it all is going and how to live a good life. We can feel that, but we can also love ourselves enough to be honest and say, this is what I'm feeling. It's happened because of this or because of that. Naming the circumstances that make us feel wobbly. And then addressing those circumstances. Not just saying, I can't do anything. Not just saying, life is hard and that's it. Not saying, well, it's their fault and I'm going to go and get angry at them, or I'm going to hurt them or harm them. But by releasing the feeling and saying, yes, I may be vulnerable, but I'm strong. And with others, all of us can be strong together. We have the courage to continue to live our lives and the courage to continue to send out the love, but not just to everybody else. You have to receive the love yourself. I love those little car bumper stickers that say, I'm practicing random acts of kindness, because that's a good way to tell yourself and demonstrate to yourself that love is what matters. Treat yourself, like I do, to a latte when you feel I need to reconnect with my love. I've just been and had a lovely half an hour on my healing bed and said to them, you know, fill me up with healing. Let me send the healing out. Give it to me to help me to move things that make me feel vulnerable. But also give it to everybody else. Help us lift and raise the energy. And that's the challenge of the week to come, is to raise the energy within yourself. Because as we shine our individual light, more and more of that light turns the darkness into at least grey, if it's not yet full light. You'll find yourself thinking about the future, about the long-term future, about your family, about how your loved ones are, about what will happen. You may find yourself pondering your own end. It's nothing to be frightened of, because we must end. But we can end on a high, because we can leave a legacy behind us. And actually, that's quite a good thing, because we have to come back round again. That's my belief. We go, we have a rest, we go, whew, that was hard work, and then we come back in again. And then we start all over again, doing what we can, doing our best. Remember, you are that channel of peace and love to your loved ones, to your children and your grandchildren. It's your actions and your demeanour and your energy that create a different world. So the choice this week coming up is very clear. Is it anger, hatred, fear? Is it peace, love and giving? Apply them to yourself. Apply them outwards. Every moment of your existence matters. The Ascended Masters are ascended because they eventually learnt that, and they adjusted what they did to help people understand and to evolve themselves into beings of pure love. We can all do that. If we all try, the love will eventually change these mindsets, because they're mindsets that have gone wrong. They're mindsets that don't fit any longer, and it's the last battle for those mindsets, because there are enough of us who know that violence, aggression, oppression, suppression, they don't belong in our world. They don't belong in our lives. They don't belong to anybody. We have some big solutions that we're going to have to find. There's no doubt about that. We can energise those solutions with our positivity and our love. That's definitely what we can do. The Ascended Masters say this all the time. That's a strong message they bring. We can energise the people who need to make these changes happen. So, in the coming week, encourage, praise, share, listen, be the connector or the ideas generator. Let yourself receive the inspirations and pass them on. There are so many of us in the army of the light sending out the love, and the difference we can make is phenomenal. You may find that Saturday and Sunday you hit a patch of deep sadness, perhaps even deep despair about the state of our world. You may feel, what's the point? You may find it hard to see that there's a future or sense that there's a future. This is part of the clearing of energy that's going on. It's part of the shift that is happening on a global scale. It's not about covering up that feeling with false positivity. It's about looking at your life and saying, yes, I own my sadnesses. I own my feelings of, well, my vision hasn't happened. And it's about loving yourself enough to allow that emotion to surface and be released, and to let yourself find the brighter future that does start to to come in from Monday evening, because the time of inspiration's coming up. When we process our grief and come to a place of acceptance, we start to look at the new ways that we can do things. And there is a huge energy coming over the next month for people to be inspired. But to grab that energy, we have to release the old energy. So work with yourself to do that, to make that transition. I know that the energy beings are working with you, and I know that they want you to succeed, because this is the way of us bringing forward a new world. Remember that we are looking to build a world based on love. And you can't have love if you don't feel it within and give it without. It's not love that's give. It's tough love. It's saying, I love me and I'm going to use the best of me, and I love you and I'm going to encourage you to use the best of you, and I'm going to pull me and you up when we kind of fall into our old habits of fear and hate and anger, and I'm going to forgive me and you for doing that, but I'm going to use every step forward to walk away from those old choices and old ways of being. I know that there's been some lovely people here sharing the broadcast with me. I saw Maria, Fiona, Sylvia I think is here, Lisa's here, Paul's here. Just quick name checks to say thank you for joining the broadcast. I am going to send the energy of love out to you. I need to bring forward Saint Germain, who is very much encouraging you to engage with him in violet flame work, so to clear down any of that old energy and to release it completely. We are all works in progress. I know that. I think I've got Gemma there as well. Sorry if I've missed anybody. We are all works in progress. We are all beautiful, and we can all make a difference. Use this coming week to really value the difference that you personally can make. It's an enormous difference, because we are light and love. Let's make sure that that is our legacy for all of our children and their children and their children. Thank you. And watch the page, because I'll try and post things that come in, but I will be back next Thursday. Oh, somebody's already been using violet flame. Fabulous. Fantastic. Well done, Lisa. I will try and post a link up so that you know on the page if you haven't discovered the violet flame yet. But I'll be back next Thursday, and I hope that in the coming week you can find the peaceful times, you can find the strength and the courage, and that you can link with all of these wonderful beings. Whether you know it or not doesn't matter, but that they can help and sustain you. So just ask them, which is what I did last night. Just said, help. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your comments. Lovely to see you, and enjoy yourself. Bye.